Alrighty, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Just going to get things set up and we'll be ready to go. This is officially going to be the first episode with the new mic, which technically the immediate reaction was the first time I had done anything with the new mic. But this is my new microphone. Moving on from the old microphone. This one is going to be put to rest most likely. But hope everyone's day's going well. Happy late New Year. Yeah. I will also be talking about the Ravens Dolphins because when I last left off, I wasn't sure if I was going to the game or not. I will let you know whether I did or not. It's got a interesting story to it, but we'll get into that. And we've got a whole lot to talk about, including a college football playoff game where I just plan to tell you the score, say one word, and that's it. Because, yeah, we'll get into it. Okay. Almost set and ready to go. I've got to set up.
I need some money.
Two things. Got to set up share screen for Immaculate Grid. That's the last thing I need to set up, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, that has started. And then, okay. We are good and ready to go. Let's begin. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of Banging Blues Podcast. On this week's episode, we've got one bit note of MLB news. We've got NFL Week 17 recap with Week 18 predictions, and we've got college football playoffs and New Year's Six bowl games recaps with a look into what's going to be the national championship game coming this Monday. All that and more. Let's get right into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 108 of Banging the Booth Podcast. Thank you so much for the support to this point. I very much appreciate it. Happy New Year to everyone, or late New Year at this point. This is the first episode of 2024. Crazy to be saying. So, before we get into Immaculate Grade, and for audio listeners, I had posted an immediate reaction both on audio and YouTube because I did not do short. I had way too much to say to do it in the short. I was taking like 4 or 5 shorts. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, whether on channel or on podcast for YouTube or audio. Either way, I had to mention I still wasn't sure if I was going to Ravens or Dolphins. Well, it looked like it was going to happen. Friday worked out the fine details, was going to take Amtrak there and back. Thought I had it set up, would be fine. Saturday goes fine. Sunday, I get on the Long Island Railroad right by me to Penn Station, because New York Penn Station is where I go from to get to Baltimore. I get to Penn Station. Everything is good so far. Thank you to the person who is watching and liked the stream, by the way. I get to Penn, and I see on the board pop up a notification that trains going that are like northeastbound or a whole bunch of other different routes are experiencing delays or cancellations due to something some tracks or something in Trenton, New Jersey, which I'm like, that's not a good sign. And for context, I don't have a license, so I don't have the ability to drive, but I do plan to get a license just because that context will help with this case scenario. I go over because it wasn't officially canceled at this point. My train, it was labeled as delayed till for like an hour, but it wasn't officially canceled, and I still don't know whether it got canceled or not. So I go over to like an information person. I'm like, I told him what train I'm going on. I said, "Do you think it's gonna end up being canceled?" He's like, "More than likely." Which is like, oh boy. I ended up still trying to wait it out to see maybe something happens, but nothing was budging. And at like 9:15, 20, I just said, yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen. So because of Amtrak, I did not end up at the Ravens Dolphins game. But as you will hear momentarily, it might have honestly been for the better because that game was an absolute blowout in the end in favor of the Ravens. And we'll dive into that game momentarily. But yeah, so I did not end up at that game. I don't have any sports events this week. Next week, I'm going to Chicago for my first Bulls game since 2011. I'm also going to be possibly touring Citi Field on Monday. But yeah, so that's what ended up happening with the Ravens game. Didn't work out. But so yeah. Either way, let's get into Immaculate Grid. So today's Immaculate Grid, the top across is Milwaukee Brewers, born outside of U.S. 50 states in D.C., and Cy Young, and down is San Diego Padres, New York Yankees, and Cleveland Guardians. So let's start to fill this out. San Diego Padres and Milwaukee Brewers. I'm going to go in MLB The Show name, recently added legend Greg Vaughn. 6%. I'll take that. Yankees and Brewers. I could go CC, but that's probably going to be way too obvious. Oh. I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to double check this. And I always mix up which one. But one of the Harrisons played for the Yankees, and I'm pretty sure that same Harrison that played for the Yankees also played for Milwaukee. Yes. Jerry Harrison. And it was the one I was thinking of. So I'm going to use him for Yankees Brewers. Part of 2011 Brewers and for portion part of the 2009 Yankees. Cleveland, Milwaukee. And by the way, Harrison was 0.2%. Cleveland, Milwaukee. Who do I want to go here? I could go Carlos Santana, but I feel like it's be too recent to be like way too obvious of an answer. Josh Donaldson's recent, but I feel like because like not everyone necessarily remembers him as a Guardian, it might be a not common answer. So I'm going to go with it. I'll take 5%. I will absolutely take that. Okay, born outside U.S. 50 states and D.C., I'm going to go fun recent answer that I don't think will be common answer. Andres Munoz now on the Mariners, part of the what's called trade. A whole trade that happened over COVID. 0.08%. I will take that. Yankees, there are a whole bunch of answers you could go with. Mariano Rivera, you could go Cano, you could go Gleyber, you could go Loizaga, you could go Severino. I'm going to go with Michael Pineda. .3%. I will take that. Okay, now for Cleveland. I'm going to go Johnny Peralta, shortstop for them. I'm pretty sure it's like Venezuelan or something like that. 0.2%, I will take that. So now Cy Young Award winners. To be honest, I don't know of many that were for Padres. I'm pretty sure Ron Guidry won one for the Yankees. Yes, 19%. Probably a common answer, but honestly, I'll take that. I think Cliff Lee won one for Cleveland. Pretty sure. Yes, 18%. I have no idea who might have won one for San Diego. But I want to at least throw out an answer. Oh no, wait, there is one answer at least. There's Blake Snell, but like that's gonna be way too obvious. I'll throw out an answer. I don't know if it's really gonna be right, but I know he played for San Diego. Kevin Brown, no. There were 5 different answers for Padres. I did not have any of the common answers for any of the slots. Of course, Snell was the highest for Padres Cy Young. The most common answers for each spot. Brewers Padres, Josh Hader, makes sense. Brewers Yankees and Brewers Guardians were both CC. 27% for Brewers Yankees, 39% for Brewers Guardians. Padres born outside U.S. 50 states in D.C. was Juan Soto at 20%. Yankees is Mariano Rivera at 13%. And Guardians is Jose Ramirez at 18%. For Cy Young, Padres is Blake Snell, 52%. Garrett Cole for Yankees at 35%. And Corey Kluber for the Guardians at 32%. So what other answers are there besides Blake Snell for Cy Young for Padres? Because Blake Snell's 1, and there's apparently 5. Jake Peavy, yeah, I should have remembered that. He's literally back in MLB The Show. They just brought him back this year. That's one I will take as a bad mistake on my part. Mark Davis, have not heard of him, 1989. Gaylord Perry, I'm not even sure if I knew he played for San Diego, to be honest. And Randy Jones. There was like a name or two that I recognize, but otherwise not really. But that is Immaculate Grid for today. My rarity score ended up being 148 in total, and I will definitely take that. But yeah, that is Immaculate Grid. So let's get into it. MLB, there was one big headline. There were a few other moves, but the main headline that happened over the weekend is the Braves made a trade for someone that is really shocking and didn't expect to ever be traded. Chris Sale from the Red Sox being traded to the Atlanta Braves for Vaughn Grissom has been someone who's been pretty solid. Last year didn't get a lot of time because Orlando Arcia had a red-hot breakout season for Atlanta. But he's been pretty good in his time in the MLB. And it should be very interesting how the Red Sox use him now that they have him. As for Chris Sale, he's just been injury-riddled, and I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to do much for Atlanta, but we will see what happens. But that's the one MLB news from since last episode. Let's start off with the bowl games and college football playoffs. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic between Ohio State and Missouri. I'm just going to share I'm going to share my podcast notes, show you the score, and leave it there. Because there's nothing. I know there's one thing I'll add on, but that's like really it. And it's this right here. 14-3 Missouri won. I'm embarrassed. And for context, yes, Ohio State ended up losing their quarterback. They had to start second string due to injury. And yes, they were down to their third string eventually. But 3 points is just embarrassing. And to me, signals that's got to be the final straw for Ryan Day. Ryan Day's got to go. 3 points. I don't even care about the fact that we lost. But 3 points to Missouri is unacceptable. And I'm honestly surprised he hasn't been fired yet. And the icing on the cake for him to really be fired is, well, we'll get to that very soon with college football playoff results. I don't know what's going on with my tabs. Oh, there we go. No. There we go. Had to reset it. Penn State, Ole Miss. Ole Miss won 38-25 in the I think Peach Bowl. The Orange Bowl between Florida State and Georgia was a absolute blowout, 63-3, which is largest margin of victory in bowl game history and worst loss ever for Florida State. The Fiesta Bowl between Oregon and Liberty. Oregon blew out Liberty 45-6. Bo Nix threw for 5 touchdowns in the game. Now for the college football playoffs, the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all bowl game between Michigan and Alabama, lived up to the hype. And Michigan, thanks to a Blake Corum touchdown and stopping Jalen Milroe on 4th and goal at the 3-yard line, decided to just run it up the middle. Michigan holding on to win 27-20, a back-and-forth crazy game. Jalen Milroe was sacked 5 times, which is more than he was sacked in the SEC championship game against Georgia by only 1, but still. But Michigan held on to win, which congrats to them, but this hurts even more as an Ohio State fan, and more of a reason for Day to be gone. And also, this marks a first ever college football playoff game that Michigan has won in the 3 years they've made in it. And 2, this is the first time that Bama's made the college football playoffs without winning and making it to the national championship game since the first year of the college football playoffs, where they lost to Ohio State in that crazy game in 2014-15 in the Sugar Bowl. J.J. McCarthy, who had one heck of a day for Michigan, but almost started the game. Literally, Michigan hits the ball first play, throws a pick, but called back because the defender stepped out of bounds before intercepting the pass. He almost had an interception, but did not have any turnovers beyond that. But he had a great game. It was offense MVP, not MLB. While linebacker Mason Graham, who I don't even know if he did much, was defensive MVP. Also, the crazy part of this game was Michigan had special teams botching from kicker and from return specialists in the punting game. By kicker, they missed an extra point, which if they would have made it, it would not have even gone to overtime by 1 point. They also missed a field goal that, again, if it would have been made, it wouldn't even gone to overtime. I think it was better, honestly, that went to overtime.